So in this small series, I've been talking about various methods on how to apply pressure in your old school dungeon crawl and your new school dungeon crawl. And so my last video was on what happens when the torch goes out. And that is considered time pressure, right? And so I'm going to continue that, and I'm going to talk about wandering monsters today. And what wandering monsters do is also a method to apply time pressure in your games. So this is a collaborative video with Eric Tenkar from Tenkar's Tavern. Every week we do a video on Mondays on the same topic. You get his view on it, and you get my view, so you get kind of two views on one topic. So yeah, in the show notes, go to his channel, check it out, and yeah, the more the merrier. So, like I said, I'm going to talk about wandering monsters, right? And effective methods and ways to use them in your old school dungeon crawl. So the problem that I see a lot is, over the years that I've seen anyways, is, Dungeon Master decides that wandering monsters are just super inconvenient, right? It doesn't go with the storyline or something like that. So they quietly stop using them. And at first it seems super harmless, right? But something kind of strange begins to happen at the table. And it's not from the DM. It basically falls on the players. And it's really the DM's fault for not doing this. And the players start taking forever to make decisions, right? There's no pressure. There's no pushback on stuff like that. So they search every single nook and cranny. They debate in every hallway. They start treating the dungeon like it's some type of a puzzle museum, right? So and the tension disappears, right? The tension totally disappears. And why? It's because nothing is pushing back. And without wandering monsters, the dungeon just becomes super passive, right? And they sit there waiting, and but in old school dungeons, it's expected or designed where wandering monsters are there. And that's when the dungeon pushes back, right? So this is the real secret behind wandering monsters, right? It creates time pressure, right? Every turn they spend underground carries a risk, right? The longer they stay, the greater the chance of something showing up, right? And that's when players understand that the behavior, and that's what I'm trying to say. So that's when players understand that, their behavior changes things dramatically, right? So suddenly they start asking questions like, how many torches do we have left? And I talked about that in the last video. How long have we been down here? Should we continue searching? With the threat of wandering monsters, this becomes a real conversation, right? That's exactly the kind of tension that you want, because dungeon exploration shouldn't be this passive thing. It's a dangerous place, right? It's not a leisurely walk through the park, right? All right, so another point I want to kind of say is wandering monsters are not designed to punish or to be balanced encounters, right? They are simply things that live in the dungeon, right? It could be a patrol, it could be something that's hunting, right? It could be a creature that's moving from room to room, right? The key idea of wandering monsters is they don't appear because the DM has planned it, right? It's a super random thing, right? They appear because the players just absolutely spent too much time in a place where danger exists, right? Sometimes the party will defeat them easily, right? It could be something very small, but sometimes they'll need to retreat. Sometimes they'll need to bar themselves away from it, or they'll need to parlay or let the danger pass, right? These are all those, and all those outcomes kind of make the dungeon feel alive. So one of the most important things too about wandering monsters is that they punish something that can quietly kill the pacing of the game, right? And that's indecision, right? If the players argue for 10 minutes at a door, or the dungeon doesn't politely sit there and wait, right? Time is going to pass, right? And when time passes, something might show up, right? And so wandering monsters teach players to kind of one very important habit, I believe anyways, and that's to make decisions, right? Not perfect decisions, just make a decision. And once players learn that, the pace of the game is going to change dramatically. So wandering monsters also solve, excuse me, another big problem, and they make the dungeon feel like a living environment, right? So if you don't have, this is one of the pieces of the puzzles that make the dungeon feel like a living environment, right? So creatures don't just sit in rooms waiting to be attacked, right? They're going to move around, patrol, investigate. They're going to follow scents. When the players start realizing that creatures might be moving about in the hallways or wherever, the environment starts to feel real to them. And they might become quieter, they might become more cautious, they might be more deliberate on their decisions, right? Here's something that I think that many dungeon masters eventually are going to discover, right? So the best wandering monster encounters are often the ones that combat doesn't even have to happen, right? So maybe the party hears something approaching and hides, right? I have a great example for that. Maybe they quietly back away. Maybe they let the patrol pass. Those moments that can create incredible tension at the table. Sometimes more tension than a fight, right? In my last game here, I have a campaign called Hommlet Dark, right? I've named it Hommlet Dark, and it's my ongoing campaign I've been having for so many years. And the last game, the group needed to rest. They were like, "Oh my God, we need to get out of here, and we can't get out of here, so we need to." So they barred themselves to the room. They elected the ranger to kind of stand guard outside, and the magic user cast invisibility on them. Well, I roll random monsters, and there was 2 incidents. One was a very just rats down the hall squeaking away, and then the other one was an actual patrol that went through. Well, he just kind of stood up against the wall, chose not to fight them, and let them pass. It was a huge tension getter or creator. And after, when the X amount of hours passed, and they made it through, all of the players were just cheering because they made it without being they made it through the rest period, and it was a huge, awesome moment in the game. And those moments are golden, and that was all because of tension created by wandering monsters. So one thing I want to say, so let's talk about how often you should do it. And this is an open conversation. Generally, what I do is, depending on the area or the dungeon, it's usually I'll check once per turn. It could be on a 1 and a 6, 1 and an 8, 1 and a 10, 1 and a 12. It's really up to the DM. It's really the feel of the dungeon. But in this particular situation where they're at right now, I think it's 1 and 6, and it is once a turn, right? There's a lot of movement in this stronghold, right? So it's really up to you as a DM, but just check. I really recommend that you check and you use wandering monsters. You're going to just bring your attention from here all the way up to here, because especially in my game right now, they want to be quiet. They're trying to be quiet and sneak through this. They're not trying to barrel their way. And even though they're making a lot of noise, they're in an area where they're kind of separated from, and it's very, noise is okay at this point, but they're being quiet. So the threat of wandering monsters is really high, and they don't want to, for those monsters to alert the rest of the stronghold. So anyways, if you're a dungeon master and you've been ignoring wandering monsters, I encourage and recommend that you give it another look, because if because they're not there to annoy the players, right? They're not there to make the dungeon, they are there to make the dungeon feel alive and to create pressure and to encourage decision making. And they remind the players that they are in a hostile environment underground. And more, the more dangerous things can come, right? And when you combine wandering monsters with things like, the last video where I talked about what happens, time management with torches and light, in my next video, which is going to be on dungeon turns, right? So, when you combine these 3 things, you're going to just bring your tension levels up, and you're going to really create a great game. And your players are going to lean in, like I've talked before. They're really going to lean into what's going on, and I think you're going to have a great game. I trust it. All right, you guys. If you enjoy this this content, like you know, if you enjoy this content, running games and creating tension and old school content and old school dungeon mastering, make sure you like, subscribe, and comment. Please, please, please comment. Comments are the best way, and I'd love to hear your guys' take on creating tension. Like, what do you guys do? This is going to be a 4-part series. This is number 2 in the series. It was torches, monitoring monsters, turns, and then there's going to be a 4th one. But yeah, I'm really happy that you guys are here, and I hope that this helps somebody out there. It sure as helps me. It reminds me that tension is the key. Tension is the key, especially in the dungeon crawl. All right, you guys, take care of each other. Keep gaming, and bye-bye.